If you're new to my channel, I'm AspieAnswersAll on Aspie. At this moment in time, basically, I'm all about creating health and awareness versus steering my life story and taking you all on a journey with my condition of Aspergers Syndrome, OCD, and the like, so that you can gain a better understanding of me as a person behind these self-diagnoses that I have. And all further ado, also, I'm doing some beauty from ashes to kind of top it, a bit of everyday situations of what we go through in our life, that hopefully will be an encouragement and enlightenment to you all. So not further ado, guys, basically for the ones that has been following me from day one, thanks for supporting me and thanks for your patience and watching me. I'm hoping that we can continue to just journey along with each other no matter what goes on in my life, basically, as we know our lives can be hectic no matter what it is and how it goes with us. But I keep telling myself it's all about taking my step forward and actually having the right frame of mind while we're doing this. So what I'm going to do, basically, these series that I'm doing are all about the ADHD versus the Aspergers series right now. And these ones are going to cover just a majority of things of like a how to guide and tips and advice along the way for these Aspergers series, hopefully to break it down even shorter to the one that's already maybe been mentioned, and some of it may sound repetitive. I apologise, but I want to stress it a bit more to people just as a gentle reminder how to handle people that are different, because obviously in this day and age I know that this world of ours is a cruel world, but then again it's about matter of finding balance and finding the right people that we can reach out and actually support no matter where we are in life. So, and further ado, guys, this is part 2 basically of the Aspergers Syndrome, I should say, and meltdowns of the how-to. This one's about basically preventing the meltdowns, as I was talking about. So let's begin this. Now tip number 1 on it, keep an eye on the child's body language. As we know, basically body language is important to read, even though for us autistics we can't read body language or read how you're expressing your body language. Sometimes we might misread it, we might misjudge it of how you're actually projecting it out to us, even though some of us can be actually good at reading body language, but as I said before, many autistics are different depending on their way of doing things. But anyway, tip number 1, as I said, keep an eye on the child's body language. Before a meltdown occurs, usually a child will appear stressed or agitated. So watch out for that. If he or she is experiencing that sensory overload, he or she may begin to shut their eyes, cover their ears, or curl into a ball. Okay, it will vary from person to person that is autistic based upon their meltdowns, but then again, most meltdowns are always similar cases or characteristics, shall we say, of what they're showing out regardless. Upset stemming, however, or difficulty performing skills they can usually handle may also occur during this time frame. Agitated autistic children may withdraw them from themselves or the person or the activity, or even just act out depending on the individual. So a tip here for you to maybe ask your child is there something wrong, and let them try and express it in a way that they can express it in a safe way, be it verbal or not. But go bear in mind, sometimes before or during the meltdown stages they will be verbal, and then when it comes to a full-blown meltdown, sometimes they'll just be non-verbal and they won't talk at all to us. So it's a matter of, like I said, watching that body language. Number 2, remove the child from any stressful situations. As I said before, when it comes down to meltdowns, depending on where you are at that given time and moment, sometimes it can be really stressful for them due to their sensory overload versus their stimuli that is trying to counteract with everything, be it their smell, taste, and everything else that goes with it. You've got to remember that from the stressful situations during or after, especially, shall we say, during their meltdowns, basically they can do more damage than good. They might end up self-harming. Some of the autistic children, depending on how severe their meltdown is, might tend to maybe do something in a form of self-harm, be it hitting themselves on the head, be it crashing themselves on walls, be it, throwing things around, be it whatever it may be. But we've got to bear in mind though that we need to note both sensory and other types of input. Basically, when this is happening of this meltdown, it may help to ask the child's siblings to take their noisy play outside or to move the child from the loud kitchen if you're in the kitchen doing baking and there's a lot of crazy things that go on. autism has. Tip here for you, maybe to address to you, is try engaging them in a physical activity that helps them to expel the energy, such as walk, maybe gardening, or anything that refreshes them mentally as well as physically, to just build up that, meltdown stuff before it does happen. Number 2 is try bringing your child outdoors or into a quieter room where they can take some time to calm down. Bedrooms, calming down corners, and even bathrooms can do it in a pinch. Number 3, don't blame the child for their meltdowns. Any parents and teachers and everything else that around us do blame the child for their meltdown when it's happening. Like I said before, with the meltdowns, sometimes it's out of our control when it comes down to it. Sometimes it's within reach of that sensory overload versus the, sense, 5 classic senses of our hypo versus our hypersensitivity. It's getting so overwhelming for us, and many other emotions is rushing through our minds, as well as the thought processes maybe, and that many people tend to just think that just because we're having a meltdown we should snap out of it or get over it, and all that nonsense that I said about the classic thing, what not to say to an autistic when they're having meltdowns. But as you know, meltdowns are extremely difficult to actually control. Chances are the child are already feeling upset about melting down, so don't make them even feel worse by doing those common classic sayings, or force upon them to try to stop. Don't forever yell at them, as or even accuse them of being intentionally difficult, or record their behaviour to teach them how naughty they have been. This will only make them feel more ashamed. The best way around this during the time of their meltdowns is basically, for this tip to advise you, is if your child does unacceptable things that you don't like during their meltdown, for example, hissing or yelling at people who are trying to help them, tell them that you're upset about their specific actions. A classic example said for you to say to them is, "We are not a violent family," or "I understand that you're upset, but it was not okay to yell at the waitress like that. It made her feel sad. Next time, please give me that signal when you start to feel sick, so I can take you outside straight away." Best to know the hidden cues and messages when they are about to have that meltdown. Number 4, set aside a lot of plenty time for fun with your child. This will help the child feel relaxed and be ready to deal with the difficult transitions or stimuli that's involved. So basically, tip here is give them outdoor time, let them explore nature, swim, play basketball, run around, swing, and do whatever they enjoy the most. This will help them to feel calmer and will increase the tolerance to that sensory input. Another tip here is set aside free time for them. They might like to read, play with their toys, run around in circles, or do whatever they like. Fun time where they don't need to do a particular project or learn new skills. Allow them to unwind, relax, and remain calm, but also keeps them occupied so that you can have some time for yourself, however. Number 5, brainstorm some coping methods together. Your child doesn't enjoy melting down in front of you or others around them. Bear that in mind, and you probably would like to know how to manage all the stress levels when that occurs. Here are some examples maybe to suggest to your child. Okay, number 1 is counting forwards backwards by 2s, by 10s, by 7s, depending on your child's mastery levels. Number 2 is deep breathing. Deep breathe in, deep breathe out. If they have to, as they're breathing in, let them hum or whatever. This is what I do sometimes when I feel like I'm so overwhelmed. That helps me to calm down. Number 3, saying I'm feeling upset and I need a break. And then leave the project, leave whatever that they're doing as well as you're doing if you're doing something together. Number 4, last but not least, coming up with a sign. So as I said, some autistics are non-verbal, so if they're non-verbal you need to maybe learn a bit of sign language so you may be able to know what's going on. That child needs to leave, especially if the child becomes non-verbal during the meltdown, as I said. So, number 6, use positive reinforcement. When the child uses good coping mechanisms, give them praises and make sure that they're genuine for their efforts about these coping mechanisms that they put in place in practice. Tell them how proud they are of good behaviour and effort has made you. Try to place more emphasis on highlighting good behaviours than punishing 7. If need be, use a star chart. I know it may sound childish for some autistic child, but it's like that with any child for improving their best behaviour. Making a star chart to hang in the kitchen with the child's room can basically, be a good start here. As we know, if we colour code these different stars, we can tell them, for example, green stars are for every successful implementation of criminal scenes, and the blue stars for every attempt to defuse a meltdown, even if they did fail in the first place. Maybe use a red star for every uncontrolled tangible meltdown. Encourage the child to turn the red stars into blue stars and the blue stars into green stars. Okay, the tip for that is number 1, never shame a child for failing to control a meltdown. As I said, it's under our control. Chances are they're already feeling embarrassed, ashamed, and all these other emotions rolled into one without being unable to handle feelings and emotions. Explain that meltdowns are unavoidable to a degree, so the goal is to do better, not to be perfect, however. I noticed that many people want things to be perfect, but it's not perfect right out there, isn't it? Last but not least, if the child seems very anxious about getting a rigid blue stuff, take down the chart, especially if the child is diagnosed with an anxiety disorder. This is a sign of a perfectionist attitude, which can be very harmful and because meltdowns are good for the child and maybe you in the process. Well, that ends part 2 of how to help a child with an autistic meltdown. Give me the thumbs up, basically. Give me the comments below, basically, of how you go about your meltdowns and all that. Is some of these tips advisable for you? If not, feel free to actually maybe share some of your tips and advice for others to understand us, of what works for you versus, what might work for you, so it might work for them, so that we can support one another in this network of this niche. Feel free to follow me on Twitter, Facebook, AspieAnswersAll. Feel free to basically comment on AspieAnswersAll or even direct message me. Feel free to also basically subscribe to my channel, since like I said, daily or weekly I'm hoping to do this, and feel free to basically share this video around, so nothing to do, love what you do what you love. Cool, thanks for watching, see you all again soon.